First, to install BcManager, let's access to the Windows server. The BcManager installer will be available inside D drive. Locate the BcManager folder and double-click install.bat. Accept the copyright statement by click on the checkbox and press Next button. Only select Basic Management and Application DR Management only. The remaining of the components are not needed. Leave the HTTPS port as default 9443 and continue by pressing Next button. Leave the database file directory as a default path. Please input the admin password and DBA password. Press Next button to continue. Leave the installation directory to default and continue pressing Next button. Once the installation completed, click OK button to start up the BcManager software. Next, we are going to install BcManager on Linux production host. Log in to Linux production host. First, create an user account and named it as rdadmin. Make sure it is using a bash shell command. Next, set rdadmin a password. Once the account has been set, log in into rdadmin by using sudo. Under rdadmin login, create Oracle-specific environment for rdadmin. Using vEditor to edit bash profiles. Add the following lines as shown on the screen. Once you have, save it. Reload the bash profile into the memory by typing the following command. Create a directory called agent under rdadmin home directory. Please take note that it is a case sensitive. Now exit into root. Please take note BcManager agent can be installed only by root account. Change directory into HCIE software under opt folder. Please do take note that the directory is provided on the lab guide. Verify inside the folder, there will be a file called OceanStor BcManager agent or agent Red Hat with extension tar.gz. Take a copy of the BcManager agent into agent directory that you have created. Do take note there is different methods to get the file extracted into agent directory. This is just one of the method. Change directory into agent folder. Now we can untar the files as shown on the screen. Once untar completed, change directory into bin directory. Under bin directory, install the agent by typing shagent_install.sh. On the name input, key in rdadmin. The IP address to be input is the Linux host IP address. Accept the rdagent listening port, default port as 8091. Just press enter button. Accept the Nginx default port as 59526. Just press enter button. Now the agent is successfully installed. Now let's repeat the process for the Linux disaster host. Change back to Linux production host. Login as Oracle account. Check on Oracle listener status by typing the following command. Ensure that protocol, host and port is correct. Now let's check on listener.ora file. Perform the following command to verify the content of the file. Make sure the global DB name is OLTP and SID name is also OLTP. If anything that is incorrect, please make the necessary changes and save the file. Next, do check on the TNS name.aura as well. Please ensure that the service name, protocol, host IP address and port number is correct. If anything that is incorrect, please make the necessary changes and save the file. Next is to change back to Linux disaster host and repeat the verification for both listener and TNS name file. Once the verification is completed on disaster host. Now, let's create a dummy database for replication testing on the Linux production host. We will demonstrate that replication is successful and information is replicated from source host to destination host. Ensure using Oracle login, run the SQL plus command. Verify that database is archive mode enabled. Create a table and called it as HCIE test 01. Add a value in the table column. We will going to perform replication and this information will be available on disaster host. Verify the information on the table is displaying data that had been input previously. Now let's open the Production Storage Device Manager. Click on the provision. Next is to click on the loon. Verify that there are 4 loon inside. This is the loon contain the Oracle database for production host. Now click on Data Protection. Select on Remote Device. Inside the remote device is empty for now. Let's change to Disaster Storage Device Manager. Click on the provision. Verify that only disk domain, storage pool, loon and loon group have been created. Now, click on the loon. Verify that identical loon as production storage are available on disaster storage as well. Next, click on Data Protection. Choose Remote Device. Inside the remote device is also empty except for virtual device. Let's change to production storage. Click on the Add Remote Device. Select Replication. Now, add the username and password. When we are connecting to OceanStor v2, we need to use Super Administrator account. Once completed, production storage has established a link to disaster storage. We can verify that disaster storage has the remote link as well. We are going to remote the link and demonstrate adding a link to OceanStor v3. On the disaster storage, add remote device. The username connecting to OceanStor v3 will be using machine user, which is mm_user. Now return to production storage. Click on Data Protection. Click on Hyper-Replication. Click on Create button. Choose Asynchronous Replication. Now, each loon will be paired with disaster storage loon. Every action is demonstrated as shown. Once completed, click Next button. On the replication properties, leave everything as default setting. Check on Consistency Group. We are going to create a consistency group as there is 4 pairs of loon from the same host. Please wait until the synchronization completed before moving to the next step. Now open a web browser and input the BcManager IP address. Log in to BcManager. First time login, we need to change the password. Click on Resources. Click Create Sites. Name a production site. Create site again. Create disaster site. Select production. Choose host. And add Linux production host. Next, click on Storage and add Production Storage Management IP address. Move on to Disaster. Click on Host and add Disaster Host. Finally, click on Storage and add Disaster Storage. Verify that the previous 4 tasks progress using background task. Ensure all tasks completed successfully. If a task failed, repeat by adding the device again before perform other troubleshooting. Ensure all information such as username, password and IP address is absolute correct. Now all devices is discovery successfully. Check on the production host and disaster host Oracle instances visible. Now we are ready for the protection of the device. Click on the protection. Add Oracle as the name and click Next button. Select Production Site and choose Production Host. Verify the Oracle database by using SYS username. If the following error shown, log in to Production Host. Verify that all the loon is mounted. Log in as Oracle using sudo. Execute SQL plus command. If you see a message connected to idle instance that mean the instance isn't started, type startup mount. Next, enable archive mode. Finally, alter database to open. Return to BcManager and log into the web UI again. Click on Protection menu. Input name as Oracle. Select production site as production and choose production host. Verify the database by using sys account. In the protection policy, set the storage replication to asynchronous. Leave everything as default and press OK button. Using task background, verify that Oracle protection has been created. Next, click on Recovery menu. We can perform test disaster recovery by clicking Test. Choose Site to Disaster. Click Test. Monitor the progress of the testing. If you encounter an error, click on Execution History. Select on View for the failed task. Located the last step which the failure occur. As you can see, the issue comes from mounting the disaster host. Let's clear the task. Ensure the task has been successfully clear. Now let's look into the Disaster Storage Device Manager. We could see that host group and mapping view have been created automatically. This was done by BcManager. Click on Data Protection, afterward click on Mapping View. As we have cleared the task, the mapping view isn't required, and let's delete the mapping view. Click on the host. Let's delete the host as well. Notice that we cannot delete the host, as the host is added to host group. Click on host group. Delete host group. Click host again. Delete host. Once we have cleared this, let's log in to disaster host. Let's check if the host has installed UltraPath. Empty results show that UltraPath has not been installed. To install UltraPath, change directory into HCIE software. Notice that UltraPath is inside the software folder. Unzip the UltraPath file. Now change directory into RHEL directory. Type sh install.sh. Choose one. Press Y to reboot. Try to relog in to disaster host. Verify that UltraPath has been installed. Having UltraPath installed will ensure the host can easily discover Loon. Let's return back to BcManager. Perform the test again. We encounter an issue again. Let's look in the task view again. Click Execution History. Click on View. Notice that now we have different error, which involved snapshot mapping. Let's clear the test again. Let's return to Disaster Storage Device Manager again. Notice that now that host group and mapping view isn't available anymore after clear. We will create host in order to verify that storage discovery the worldwide port name from host. Once we saw the list of worldwide port name, canceled the creation. Return to BcManager and perform test once more. Monitor the progress again. Notice that, this time it is successful. Let's verify the step that has been performed. Click on Execution History. Click on the View task. Scroll down the task. Return to Disaster Storage. Verify that host group and mapping view has been create. Click on Mapping View. Under Loon Group, verify the Loon snapshot that is mapped to disaster host. Log in to disaster host. Log in as Oracle using sudo. Execute SQL plus command. Perform a SQL query to display that information that was input on production host is available on disaster host now. Return to BcManager and clear the task. Once the clear task is completed, return to Disaster Device Manager. Click on Data Protection. Click on Mapping View. Verify under Loon Group that Loon snapshot has been removed. You may perform planned migration and fault recovery.